Yeah. You ready? Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Janavara Devata. Gopi Janavara Bhagavata. Yasodhanandana Brajadana. Yasodhanandana Brajadana. Yasodhanandana. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Nitai Gaur Hari Bal, Hari Bal, Hari Bal, Bal Hari Bal. Jaya Vasudeva Parivrajacharya Astotva Sata Systematic Divine Grace System Planetary Shiva Bhakti and Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada Jai Jaya Vasudeva Paramahamsa Parivrajacharya Astotva Sata Systematic Divine Grace and Bhakti Vedanta Swami Goswami Prabhupada Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnava Ki Jai Namacharya Sri Haridasa Gaur Ki Jai Prem Se Kaha Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Vasada Sri Gaura Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gopal Gopinath, Simakunda, Radha Kunda, Girikavadam Ke Jai, Shabadavadam Ke Jai, Simatura Dham Ke Jai, Simayapanavadev Dham Ke Jai, Jaganapur Dham Ke Jai, Gangama Yamunamaya Ke Jai, Simatito Devi Bhakti Devi Ke Jai, Samaveda Bhakti Devi Ke Jai, Nitya Gaur Premanandi. All glory to the sum of the waters. All glory to the sum of the waters. All glory to the sum of the waters. All glories to Sasiguranga Ranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritam Naram Cheva Narottamam Devim Saraswati Vyamsa Tato Jaya Mundiraya Nasta Payesva Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Seva Bhagavati Uttama Sloke Bhakti Tinasiki. So Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, chapter 2, text what? 15? 15? All right. So Canto 1, chapter 2, text 15 is what we are going to read and share this morning. Title of this chapter is Divinity and Divine Service. Divinity and Divine Service. Yadanu Dhyasina Yuktaha Kama Granti Nibandanam Chidanti Kovidastasya Kona Kuryat Kataratim Yadanu Dhyasina Yuktaha Kama Granti Nibandanam Chidanti Kovidastasya Kona Kuryat Kataratim. Can someone try? Anyone else? Anyone else to try? Any representative of the Gurukul to help us to this chanting? Gurukuls? Okay, no one? Matajis? Matajis? Anyone? Matajis? Matajis? So translation, word for word translation prepared by His Divine Grace, His companion Acharya, Srila Abhacharya Navinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Yat, which? Anudhya, remembrance. Asina, sword. Yuktaha, being. Being equipped with. Kama, reactionary work. Granti, not. Bandhana, internet. Chindanti, cut. Kavidaha, intelligent. Tasya, his. Kaha, who. Na, not. Kuryat, shall do. Kata, messages. Ratim, attention. Translation. With sword in hand, intelligent men cut through the binding knots of reactionary work, karma, by remembering the personality of Godhead. Therefore, who will not pay attention to His message? Please kindly responsibly repeat. With sword in hand, intelligent men cut through the binding knots of reactionary work, karma, by remembering the personality of Godhead. Therefore, who will not pay attention to His message? And who is that will not pay attention to His message? Can someone? Huh?
We have to pay attention.
Who will not pay attention to His message? Huh? If you want to speak, raise up your hand. Yes? Who will not pay attention to the message of the Lord? Who are those who will not pay attention? There are two. According to the Bhagavatam, there are two classes of people who will not pay attention to the message of God. Yes? Can someone help us? Huh? Demon? Demon is a general terminology indicating someone who is averse to Krishna consciousness. Swayambhari and Mayavadi. Good. Yes? Anyone else to try? Huh? One who is engaged in sense gratification, yes? Yes, anyone else to try?
Atheistic.
Huh?
Atheist.
Atheist. Yes, can you try? All right. Thank you very much. Let's go to the verse. We'll come back to this, okay? Please respond and repeat. We've done that? Yeah, we've done that. So, purport, the contact of spiritual spark. The contact of the spiritual spark with material elements creates a knot which must be cut if one wants to be liberated from the actions and reactions of fruitive work. Liberation means freedom from the cycle of reactionary work. This liberation automatically follows for one who constantly remembers the transcendental pastimes of the Supreme, of the Personality of Godhead. This is because all the activities of the Supreme Lord, His Leela, are transcendental to the modes of material energy. They are all attractive spiritual activities, and therefore constant association with the spiritual activities of the Supreme Lord gradually spiritualizes the conditioned soul and ultimately severs the knot of material bondage. Liberation from material bondage is therefore a byproduct of devotional service. Attainment of spiritual knowledge is not sufficient to ensure liberation. Such knowledge must be overcoated with devotional service, so that ultimately the the devotional service alone predominates, then liberation is made possible. Even the reactionary work of the fruitive workers can lead one to liberation when it is overcoated with devotional service. Karma overcoated with devotional service is called Karma Yoga. Similarly, empirical knowledge overcoated with devotional service is called Jnana Yoga. But pure Bhakti Yoga is independent of such karma and jnana because it alone cannot only endow one with liberation from conditional life, but also award one the transcendental loving service of the Lord. Therefore, any sensible man who is above the average man with a poor fund of knowledge must constantly remember the personality of Godhead by hearing about Him, by glorifying Him, by remembering Him, and by worshipping Him, always without cessation. That is the perfect way of devotional service. The Goswamis of Vrindavan, who were authorized by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to preach the Bhakti cult, rigidly followed this rule and made immense literatures of transcendental science for our benefit. They have chalked out ways for all classes of men in terms of the different castes and orders of life in pursuance of the teachings of the Srimad Bhagavatam and similar other authoritative scriptures. Vande Sri Krishna Chaitanya Nityananda Sahodata Godadhaya Puspavantu Chita Chandatamam Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Vasudeva Bhakti Hare Krishna 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 Hare Rama Rama Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Vishaya Bhutale Srimad Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namaste Saraswati Devi Vanchakalpatari Vecha Kripa Sunamaya Vecha. So, this text is bringing us to bear how even people who are engaged in so-called material activities, if those material activities are dovetailed in the service of Krishna, they become purified. We may have material skills in high sophistication, but if those material skills are even dovetailed in the service of the Lord, the individual or the people become purified. So there's no harm in having skills. There's no harm in engaging even in so-called material activities. And the essential factor is to be able to understand and use everything in Krishna's service. That is also emphasized by Bhaktivinoda Thakur in the Saranagati. That is had always been re-echoed by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur in his teachings. So, in a similar way, those who are engaged in knowledge acquisition, if the knowledge acquisition is dovetailed in the service of the Lord, one becomes purified. In other words, even the jnanis, they can become purified. According to Prabhupada, he used the word overcoated. Sometimes he used the word dovetailing. So here in this text purpose, he has mentioned, use that word repeatedly, overcoated. If the jnanis activities are overcoated with bhakti, they become purified. Or in other words, if they are dovetailed in the service of the Lord, they become purified. If the karmis they dovetail their works in the service of the Lord, they become purified. How to dovetail this? How to dovetail reactionary work in the service of the Lord? Yes, who can help us? Karmic works, they are binding, karma bandhana. But how to dovetail, how to cut that knot, the binding force to reactionary work. How do we do that? By offering the fruits to Krishna. In fact, Rupa Goswami, is it Rupa Goswami? In one of the chayas, he suggested about a particular specific percentage of the outcome of our works in the service of the Lord. Who said Rupa Goswami? Yeah. So what is the percentage? Huh? 50? 50%? Are you sure? Huh? Are you going to be able to do that? I think if in this country people, if the professionals are doing that, his God would have been very yeah. So nothing can, everything can be utilized in the service of the Lord. Someone is a professional and he's even working in some firm. The idea is to become purified. You may not necessarily directly use your service. So you're an engineer, also you're an aeronautic engineer, for instance. ISKCON does not have, planes. Okay? Do we have airplanes? We don't have. Okay, so see for instance, you're an aeronautic engineer. How will that work be overcoated with bhakti? Huh? You are overseeing the engineering of airplanes, maintenance of airplanes, or the manufacture of the parts of airplanes. So how does that work? Become, dovetailed in devotional service. The resource, the outcome, the money, you can use part of your money in developing some projects for spreading Krishna consciousness. And in fact, if you're afraid that if you give the money to some ISKCON preacher, they may not necessarily use the money according to how you wish the money to be spent, then you use the money directly by yourself to help in the preaching. Because yes, we have the tendency, and it's against the rule of governing a non-profit organization, that if someone gives you money for the deities, you don't use the money to buy food for the devotees. Yeah, these laws are there. In America, one of my mentees, she was working for a non-profit organization, and she used to tell me that, you see what these people are doing? People we get the donations. In fact, I go out to solicit for the donations. People give the donations for specific projects, and use the money to pay workers' salary. So, yeah, the rule in governing non-profit or dealing with administering non-profit organizations in the Western countries is very strict. If you reported that the resources procured or the financial resources, donations procured, are not used, for instance, someone gives you money for building a temple, to help to build a temple. Don't use the money to buy boga to feed your deities, because that's not what he said. So when you use the money to do what he intended for, what the donor requests, then he has that direct connection with Krishna. His mission is fulfilled. He becomes purified. And while we may argue that, this all devotional service, and we were not having money from Boga that day, so he gave this money for constructing the temple, our new temple, and I used the money to buy Boga for the devotees. And that's not correct, because you're not helping the donor. What he intended to do is something internalized with the Lord. And so if that channel is not blocked, he gets purified Although he's working out there, but then he's doing devotional service. He's using his resources for helping with the spreading of the mission of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So the Gyanis, the same thing. They may have so much of info. And in the case of Satyakama, you heard the story of Satyakama? Huh? You must have heard, but maybe you don't know the specific names. Satyakama is a disciple of Rishi Gautama, and I'm sure you guys have heard this story. The name may be the specific name. So Satyakama, his mother was like society lady. You know society lady? Society lady? Hey, society lady, you don't know, you're too renounced. Society lady is a woman who goes about enjoying life with people, and then when she becomes pregnant, she doesn't even know the person who impregnated her. And so Satyakama's mother was like that. And he had a desire to approach a guru, so he asked the mother, so, Mama, what is my gotra? So the mother explained to him. The mother was very sincere. He explained to him that, you see, actually, I don't know who your father is, because this was the type of life I was leading, and I got impregnated. I was playing around with different men, and then I got impregnated. So I don't even know your father. So your gotra, I don't know. So, but then when he went to meet Rishi Gautama to solicit for followership, to be a disciple, Rishi Gautama, precisely asked, "What's your gotra?" Because in those days they only accept people who are coming from Brahmin families. So Satyakama said, "This is what my mother told me." So he said, "Oh, you're a Brahmin. I accept you as my disciple. You're too truthful. You're too sincere." So sometimes we find this type of cases to be able to motivate us to be, to tell the bitter truth in a way that we may not even like. But it's very purifying. It's very purifying. And so that story, I'm sure a number of you have heard. It's just the details of the name, because this story was given. If you ask me, "Hey, Swami, where did you get this information?" And I like people, asking me, "What's your source?" And this very story is presented by our great Acharya, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, in his second volume of Upakyane Upadesh. Ramanuja Prabhu, a disciple of Bhakti Swarup Damodar Swami, the late Bhakti Swarup Damodar Swami, our scientist, he has translated that book from Bengali to English. And then he gave me a copy, and then I was so much attracted to this detailed information of Gautama Rishi and Satyakama's story. So that the guy that, well, we have heard this story, but it's just the details. And the mother is, I don't remember the mother's name, but the mother's name is also in that very literature by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So that person that we heard about the story, his name is Satyakama. Okay, so Satyakama, when he was given some service by Gautama Rishi, it was like a big test. He asked him to go and head cows, and these cows were like sickly cows, 400 sickly cows. Go out, go and head these cows. And then you bring back 1,000 healthy, robust cows. Imagine your spiritual master asks you to do that type of service. Yeah, but no, Gautama, entrusted that type of service to Satyakama. But Satyakama went out, and then, somehow or the other, he was blessed. He was very sincere. He was highly motivated to perform, to serve his spiritual master, to get his blessings, to satisfy him. So he went about heading these cows, and very shortly he was able to get the required number that the spiritual master stipulated, 1,000 cows, robust cows. And he had an opportunity to be blessed with knowledge. The devatas, I think Agni, Vayu, and Indra, they came independently, separately, to instruct Satyakama. So Satyakama, by the time he came back to the ashram of Gautama, he was fully equipped with knowledge. Fully equipped. He was effulgent, beaming with information culture, spiritual information culture. But out of humility, he approached his guru. He said, I want your blessings. I want to serve you. I want to make some inquiries. You bless me. I need devotion. I need devotional service. But Gautama also had already realized that Satyakama has been blessed by the devatas. He was fully equipped with knowledge. Imagine when Vayu has to come to instruct you directly. Imagine when Indra has to come to instruct you directly. And, for the ordinary person, they will be puffed up after acquiring all those spiritual knowledge. Satyakama was still humble. He approached his spiritual master to get blessings, to serve the spiritual master, to make some inquiries. So Prabhupada made some comment about humility in a conversation he had in Bombay, modern Mumbai. And he mentioned that humility implies that when you even have so much of knowledge, you are astute in knowledge, still you feel that you're completely empty, you don't know anything, and you approach your spiritual master. That is the case with Sanatana Goswami. He approached Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was praising him, but he said, "My Lord, I'm nothing, I don't know anything." So, we understand how the background of Sanatana Goswami. He was high-profile government official, but he renounced all of those to become a servant of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And therefore, the glorifications of the Lord, they attract even great souls, they are attracted to the glorifications of the Lord. The question is, when the Gyanis engage their knowledge, or dovetail their knowledge in devotional service, they become purified. When the Kamis, they engage their fruitive activities in devotional service, or even the fruits of their fruitive activities in devotional service, the knot of material existence is caught. And what do we think about that? Is it some folk story, or is it a reality? I mean, like sometimes you find even people from India, they say, yeah, Ramayan or Lord Ram, it's a myth. The myth means it never existed. Mythology. No, but Ayodhya is there, where Lord Ram ruled. And so sometimes also people think, especially some Mayavadis, when Krishna says, Sarva Dhamma Paritaja, Mamekam Sanam Braja, Amtram Sarva Papebhyo, Moksha Yishamimash. The Mayavadis have their own interpretation. Now, Krishna, here it means Krishna is is saying surrender to the inborn in Krishna, not like Krishna has a super soul. No. Krishna is all spiritual. And so a lot of confusion is there because the Mayavadis have overcoated the Vedic literature with impersonalism. And so it only takes a devotee or someone who is devotionally oriented to be attracted to the glorifications of the Lord, to be attracted to the messages of the Bhagavatam. In fact, there is a very similar verse in the 10th canto, chapter 1, I think text 14, where it is mentioned that these very messages of Uttama Sloka are the medicine for modern man, the medicine that cures the disease of samsara. And this medicine is taken not by intravenous, not even through the mouth. How is this medicine taken? Through the ear. But that verse equations is like here, ko na kurya kata ratim. Therefore, who will not pay attention to his message? And in that text it's mentioned, okay, the Lord is so attractive. This is the medicine that cures the disease of material existence. Who will not take to this message? Who will not take to this path? Who will not be interested in Krishna Katha? Kaha Uttama Sloka Gunanuvada Pasugna. Pasu means what? Yeah. Pasugna, those who are butchers or meat eaters, and those who are killing their own souls, those who are committing suicide, spiritual suicide, killing their own souls. So a meat eater, in the commentary, the commentators, the Prabhupada's disciples, they made reference to several texts, and they mentioned that people who are addicted to sense gratification is very difficult to take to spiritual life. People who are meat eaters, people who are addicted to sense gratification, they may even be vegetarians, but they are eating foods, vegetables in the mode of passion like onion and garlic that stimulate more sense gratification. You know why we don't eat onion and garlic? Huh? Huh? It's what? Okay. You're a doctor, explain to us. We'll don't understand that. Okay, yeah. It agitates the senses. But, some people, they will argue with you. Some family members, they will argue with your family members who are devotees. We cannot give up onion and garlic. Without onion and garlic, the food has no taste. So we are eating foods in a mode of passion that creates kambandhana. It binds us to the knot of material existence. And so yes, and we are not supposed to offer, even their vegetables, we are not supposed to offer them to Krishna, because Krishna doesn't eat food in the mode of passion. Foods in the mode of passion. We offer milk products to Krishna. We offer grains to Krishna, not garlic and onions. So, although Krishna had mentioned patam puspam phalam tuyam, he emphasized yome bhaktya pradashati. It did not indicate that we should offer him all the vegetables. Vegetables have to be offered, and there are prescribed vegetables that are to be offered, and the mode to be executed in offering those vegetables, yome bhaktya, in loving devotion. You see, if you're giving a beggar some You give some a beggar on the street some money. You can also do that in different modes. You just throw the money. You just throw the money on his mat or her mat, and you walk away. But there are some people who go close to the beggar, discuss with them, give them the money, and even pray for them. So it's in different modes. So the offering has to be with love and devotion. The simple things, water, leaves, flowers, they have to be with devotion. This is devotional service. If we offer something to someone with love, it's a different mood. They will have a different perception about us. So if we offer our foods to Krishna with loving devotion mood, there is a higher reciprocation. And so we are bound to this world through the results of our work, through our works. But if those works, the results of the works are dovetailed in the service of Krishna, in devotional service, we get purified. This is the science, this is the secret. And we don't need to tell people to, except for someone who really feels that this is my calling, I want to give the whole of my life to Krishna. We don't need to even tell people to stop schooling because they have some interest in Krishna consciousness. I remember the last time we had a program on Kharagpur Institute of Technology here. One of the PhD students who was in attendance, he is finishing his PhD in finance by September this year. So he went on LinkedIn, our professional page on LinkedIn. And so he went on LinkedIn and then he wrote so many things about our presentation there. He said the presentation by Dr. Vasudeva, it pierced my heart. Even now, I'm still feeling it. He put that statement on LinkedIn, and then I was also copied. So we were able to reach out to him. We were discussing. I spoke to him on the phone, and we were chatting on WhatsApp. And he said, I want to join. I want to give my life to Krishna. I said, finish your program first. I said, finish your PhD, then you give your life to Krishna. So the temptation is there. We could not tell just a person who is so desperate, eager. Oh, come. You just give up everything and then you just join the temple. But when he finishes, he will be more useful to our society. He'll be more useful to himself in terms of preaching skills and public relations. He'll be more useful to the community, to the society. He'll be more useful and a sense of pride to his family, because family sent him to school. And I remember the case of one European girl. She studied medicine, and outside of India, even the females, they can become brahmacharinis. They can give up their work. If they are interested, they can become full-time devotees. So this was one of these European countries. I gave a Bhagavatam class in Mayapur some time ago, and this lady, she came to me. She looks very skinny. So one of his first query is, I told her, you're a woman, you should look plump so that people will be attracted to you, to Krishna consciousness. People who are non-devotees should be just by your appearance, they should be attracted to Krishna consciousness. But you look so skinny. She said, this is the mood of the Vrajabasis. And she told me a story how she wanted to be a devotee, but her parents were very, very antagonistic. They said she must go to college. So she said, all right, I go to college. Mama, why do you want me to study in college? She said, go study medicine. The mother told her, go study medicine. I want you to become a doctor. So she went to medical school, and then she finished medical studies. And she brought a certificate to the mom. Mama, I've finished. This is my certificate. The mother said, thank you very much. You're a good girl. All right, you can go and do anything you want. So then that was how she was released to go and become a full-time devotee. So yeah, devotional service is very intriguing, very enticing. At the same time, we have to see how we are channeling people's energies properly and directing them to how they can use their skills in elevating society in Krishna consciousness. But majority of people, they are not attracted to this great wealth that Lord Chaitanya has made available for everyone to take advantage of. Just to participate in the Harinam, participate in hearing about the messages of God and messages of Uttama Sloka. Uttama Sloka means the Supreme Lord who is glorified with transcendental poetry. So, we have to see how we are helping out to facilitate the devotional leverage, devotional growth of people we encounter in our lives. And that requires really being a good counselor, being a good advisor, how they can use their life, their skills, their intelligence, their bodies, mind, and soul in the service of the Lord. By reading the Bhagavatam and discussing the Bhagavatam, listening to the Bhagavatam, because it's all purifying. By regular attendance of the Bhagavatam discourses, one becomes purified. That's one of the texts we read, we recite every day before we discuss the Bhagavatam. So it is not some bluff. The Bhagavatam, the Vedavyas is not bluffing. These are very practical things. We've experienced, we will experience when we cultivate that culture, cultivate that knowledge, cultivate that devotional service of hearing about the messages of Krishna. We become purified and we will no longer be interested in broken bottles. We become like Dhruva. That when Vishnu appeared to Dhruva, he said, "So, what can I do for you?" He said, "Oh, I was looking for a kingdom greater than that of my father, or even greater than that of my granny. But by encountering you, I become purified. I don't need anything. I was actually looking for, but those are just like broken bottles. I'm satisfied just having you." So there should be constant cultivation of devotional service, and we'll become purified, and then ultimately we'll be able to have the mercy of the Lord. The Lord may give us His darshan, and if even He does not give us His darshan, we'll become purified and help to purify the world. Any comments or questions? Yes. Huh?
He wants to donate money for some particular cause, and let's say they set up already set up, they are in need of some particular, for money for some other thing. Should we encourage that person to donate for that, or should we allow them to for whatever desire he has to give money for that?
No, I mentioned that the law in non-profit leadership or non-profit governance, non-profit management, these are, constitutional laws, is that if someone gives, say this is not a temple, it's not an ISKCON temple. There are many NGOs or non-profit organizations out there. Now say someone, they solicit for donations, they have their own public fundraisers and all this stuff. So someone, they go to meet some donor, they collect some money, all right, use this money for this project that you want to develop, say a new project. And then they can bring the money to the directors, and then the money is not used for that project. It's used for paying salaries. Because non-profits, they struggle a lot, okay? So what's wrong with that? Because it's to sustain the non-profit. But the law that's against the law. You go to collect money from somebody, and you have agreed with the person. You told the person, this is what we need the money for, and then he's interested, and he gave the money for that. And you use the money to pay salaries to your workers. You have violated non-profit administration integrity, and you could be arrested. If they report it, you could be arrested. So in our temples also it's the same thing. Some people have interest in donating money, say for temple construction. And if they benefit a lot if that money is used based on their initial intention. And so if we use the money for something else, that is like a breach of devotional integrity. Because you told the person, for instance, you tell me one thing, and you do something else. They are people, they are human beings, they are living beings, they are also part and parcel of Krishna. And so they want to help in some service. And so we have to be able to dovetail their services in Krishna consciousness according to their desire. So the idea is to create some type of social sanity so that people, that attitude invokes trust in the public for that non-profit organization, because it becomes like a snowball process. A snowball means that someone gives some donation and use it for that purpose that he intends. He will tell other of his friends who are millionaires, oh, that organization, they are so good. If you give them money for this purpose, they use it exactly for that purpose. Donate. It's a big impetus. Yeah, that's what I mean. Is it clear? All right. Any other comments? Oh, we still have a lot of time. Any comments? Nivritta Tasha. The devotional culture, we have to understand. In India, a lot of people are very much interested when people hear about Pandal program, Krishna Katha, Bhagavad Sabda, some recitation of Bhagavad Gita or Srimad Bhagavatam. People throng the place. But the Bhagavatam also warns that one who is not free from material inebrities should not be a reciter of the Bhagavatam, because it will not produce the desired effect. So yes, the Bhagavatam recitation is very purifying, but if it is emanated from the mouth of a professional reciter, it will not have the same desired effects. And therefore we are interested in coming to the Bhagavatam and listening to devotees who are practicing Krishna consciousness. When they speak and when we hear, it has immense, positive transformation in our lives. So we train our devotees to give Bhagavatam classes. Why? Because they are following. I remember, I don't know whether I think in Bangla I was telling this story, and those devotees there at Seshadri Puran temple, they were always laughing when I would say something. I remember when I just joined, and after 1 year I got a chance to give Bhagavatam class. But I was giving Bhagavatam class in the previous temple where I was, even just after a few months of staying in the temple. So, but when I got transferred to the headquarters, and then one morning after the Guru Puja, one devotee came to me one senior devotee came to me that, "Hey, Vasudeva, go and give the Bhagavatam class." I said, "No way, I'm not going to give any Bhagavatam class. I joined this movement to learn from you guys, you are senior people, and I want to hear I want to learn." He said, "If you don't want to give the Bhagavatam class, you can go and tell Bhakti Swami that you don't want to give the class." So I went upstairs, I went to meet Guru Maharaj and said, they asked me to give Bhagavatam class and I just joined this movement. So I want to hear from the senior people. And then he turned to me and said, "Vasudeva, who is the senior? Senior is one who is following. Go and give the class." So the idea is that if we are trying to practice, or we are practicing Krishna consciousness, we're following the four regulative principles, we are chanting, we are eligible to discuss the Bhagavad Gita class, Bhagavatam or Bhagavad Gita. But devotees are not interested in going to listen to professional reciters, people who are having so much of the 18 and everything. I know in some cases where people have a partner program, they have a big crowd, recite the Bhagavatam, discuss about the gopis, and then they leave the podium and they're smoking. They just go down the podium and they're smoking. So the whole idea is just to attract people to make money, to get name, fame, distinction, financial resources, using Krishna to make money. And Gorakishore Das Babaji was very much against that. I remember on one occasion, so some reciter has come to give, big, has come to a particular near Gorakishore Das Babaji's place of residence, where he was doing his bhajan, and his servant also was there. And then after the recitation of this great personality, Gorakishore Das Babaji told the servant that he should go and clean up the whole place with cow dung. With cow dung. With cow dung. A sadhu had just given Bhagavatam class, And he said the place should be purified with cow dung. And the servant queried him, "Why?" "Oh, he's just talking about money, 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 money." That is what he was chanting. I had him it's just, in other words, what he was talking about, at the back of his mind, he was thinking, "Wait, where is the money? Where's the money?" Purpose of the recitation is to, get some donations. Yeah, so purpose of recitation is to become purified. The reciter should become purified. The person who giving the class becomes purified. The people participating, they also become purified. So, it's a process of purification. Krishna Kata means to help us to become purified, nothing else. To help us to become more connected with Krishna. But the people who are not like this, therefore, who will not pay attention to his message? The butcher and those who are committing suicide. People who are meat eaters, they will not be interested in Krishna Kata. People who are impersonalists, they are committing suicide because they want to merge to the Brahman effulgence. So that is spiritual suicide. They will not be interested in Krishna Kata. That's what the Bhagavatam says, the 10th canto, chapter 1, I think text 14. Yes, any other comments? What verse did we treat yesterday? What text did we treat yesterday?
Yesterday 1841.
Huh?
1841.
Oh, you don't follow in a sequence?
Yeah, they are only 4 years here. No?
Huh?
The students, they are only 4 years here. So the sequence, so we follow we basically cover the most essential themes.
Oh, okay, okay, that's good.
Because then they pass.
Yeah. So those who want to kill themselves, they don't take to Krishna consciousness. They don't practice Krishna consciousness. They're committing suicide. You're young people. You're very lucky. You're being introduced to Krishna consciousness at your tender age. You're very, very lucky. You have accumulated so much of pious merit from previous life. So in this life, be serious. Huh? I was discussing with two of these boys yesterday, and so I was asking what you plan to do with your life. And then the other younger one said, I thought that, the life should just be used for devotional service. Because, Krishna consciousness, that's the foremost thing. So I said, because I asked him, do you hope to go to college? He said he thought, life should just be used for devotional service only. I said, that's good, but you need skills for your future spiritual development and social development. So sometimes, people have a misunderstanding of what devotional service is. They think that when you're cultivating devotional service, you don't need to go to school, you don't need to study. And sometimes people even quote that, Prabhupada said the college is, slaughterhouse. Yeah, colleges are slaughterhouses, yeah. But now the money goes to hell to preach. So you can go to the slaughterhouse to get your skills and come to use those skills in Krishna consciousness, and you're glorified. If you don't go to the slaughterhouse, to develop skills, and you're skillless, how do you serve Krishna? Yeah, for instance, the people who have skills and those who don't have skills, there's a big difference in the service of Krishna. One boy, one of Saswarup Goswami's disciples, a white guy in America, he told me the story. I don't know whether I told you this story before, but he told me the story. They went to Boston, Harvard University Park, and they distributed back to Godhead. So he saw one young man highlighting from his car. He approached him to give him back to Godhead, and he never went to college. He didn't know the gateway to college. No, he didn't know. So he approaches Howard Professor, young man, and the young man just turned to him and said, "Don't you know I'm Howard Professor? Don't you know I'm Harvard Professor? Howard University is one of the Ivy Leagues in America." So the people there, they regard them like demigods, the professors. So he questioned this boy, this devotee, "Don't you know I'm Howard Professor? Don't you know I'm a devata? So he told me he was devastated. The whole day he couldn't distribute one magazine. One back to God I couldn't distribute. So that is the effect of not having skills. You get intimidated. And suppose he has some skills, he's been to college, he wouldn't have been so much intimidated by a professor's rebuke. So it makes a lot of sense. We encourage our young devotees to project into developing skills, high skills. And it makes it easier for preaching. And one female IT scientist in South Africa, she told me a story of how once somebody in her office, she was working for a research institute, and another researcher in her office, a colleague, just approached her and said, "Teach me Bhakti yoga," because the whole of that community didn't know this lady, this devotee, having unique values. Unique values. So that lady, their colleagues, she's a researcher, that one is a researcher, but the devotee has values, the other one doesn't have. So she approached her. Can you teach me yoga? I want to be like you. So she said she just started teaching her japa, how to chant japa, and during breaks, they would go under some shade and chant japa together for about 1 hour on beach. That's how she didn't preach anything to anybody. Somebody just came, make me a devotee. Just by being planted there. So this is the effect of skills development on society for a devotee. So these young devotees, they're very lucky. We should encourage them to be serious with their studies. All right, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.
Bhakti Vasudeva Swami.
Thank you very much for participating in Krishna consciousness. So here is a good question. Can you ask a question so that everybody like sometimes the devotee says that if we are sincere, then Krishna will endow all the skills and whatever qualities are required for this, Krishna will help you get those things. So my question was like, how to take this understanding? Why then it is required to develop our material skills? Yeah, that's a nice point because we can use anything from the scriptures. It's called selective listening or selective hearing. We can use anything to defend ourselves when we don't want to do something that is challenging. Okay, having developing skills is challenging. It's called integration. Integration in calculus, those who have studied or those who have studied calculus, calculus is very difficult. Now, one of the most difficult aspects of calculus is integration. When it is time or when during the integration session, sometimes even the high profile learner walks out of the class because everything becomes so abstract. It's confusing. So, people don't want to do the important. Developing skills and cultivating devotional service is like two jobs. And if you're not very good with integration, you will definitely lose track. And you may end up only taking one side. So this is a nice point. Now, by cultivating devotional service, yes, you acquire all the wonderful qualities of the demigod, but you don't become a gynecologist.